Here's an uncomfortable question to start with. Are you sure kissing is even natural? Because roughly half the human cultures ever studied never developed romantic kissing at all. Not because they didn't have romance, because to them, mashing your mouth against someone else's mouth just wasn't a thing people did. Let's actually figure out where this behavior came from. First, a quick definition. Because kissing covers a lot of ground. Cheek kisses, forehead kisses, and greeting kisses show up almost everywhere. Those clearly aren't the mystery here. This video is specifically about romantic, sexual mouth-to-mouth kissing, the kind tied to attraction and pair bonding. That's the behavior anthropologists actually argue about. And they really do argue about it. For decades, the assumption was that romantic kissing was universal, something baked into human nature everywhere. Then, in 2015, researchers Jankowiak, Volsha, and Garcia systematically reviewed data on 168 cultures from around the world. Their finding upended the old assumption completely. Romantic sexual kissing showed up in only about 46% of those cultures. Less than half. In quite a few societies, ethnographers reported genuine disgust at the idea, not just disinterest. So right away we know something. This isn't some hardwired universal instinct. Something more complicated is going on. So where might it have come from? Researchers have proposed a few competing hypotheses. And it's worth being upfront. None of them is fully proven. They're best explanations, not settled facts. The first is the premastication hypothesis. In several documented cultures, mothers chew food and pass it mouth to their infants before the baby can eat solid food on its own. Some researchers propose romantic kissing could be a repurposed version of this ancient, deeply bonded feeding behavior, taking an act originally about trust and nourishment and turning it into an act about intimacy. The second is the sniffing hypothesis, also called olfactory inspection. In many cultures, greeting rituals involve bringing your face very close to another person's face or neck to smell them, rather than kissing with the lips. Some researchers argue romantic mouth kissing may have roots in this, a closer, scent-based way of knowing a partner. Because human body odor carries real information, including genetic signals, related to immune system compatibility. The third hypothesis skips the origin story. It focuses on function instead. Regardless of how it started, kissing may simply persist because it works, as a bonding and mate assessment tool. Once a culture already has it, it reinforces itself socially, generation after generation. None of these hypotheses cancel each other out, and researchers genuinely don't agree on which one, if any, is the main explanation. So what about our closest animal relatives? This is where people expect a clean answer. And don't get one. Bonobos, one of our nearest primate relatives, have been observed in prolonged mouth-to-mouth contact, including tongue contact, often during social bonding, or after conflict. Chimpanzees also show mouth-to-mouth contact, in some contexts. But, and this matters, primatologists are careful here. They don't call this kissing in the human sense. It may serve a completely different function for bonobos than it does for us. Similar behavior in two related species doesn't automatically mean identical origins or identical meaning. It's a genuinely useful clue, not proof. Now, what about actual ancient humans? Not primates in general, Neanderthals specifically. Here's where the evidence gets surprisingly specific. In 2017, researchers analyzed ancient Neanderthal dental plaque. They found a well-preserved microbial genome, a microbe called Methanobrevibacter oralis, a normal resident of the human mouth. Here's the strange part. Modern humans and Neanderthals split apart somewhere between 450,000 and 750,000 years ago. But the strains of this mouth microbe only diverged much more recently, somewhere between 112,000 and 143,000 years ago. That gap is the interesting part. It suggests this microbe kept passing back and forth between Neanderthals and modern humans, long after the two lineages had already split, through some kind of close, repeated contact. The researchers listed several real possibilities: shared meals, parental food sharing with children, or kissing. We genuinely cannot isolate which one it was. But it's solid evidence of something intimate and repeated, happening between our species and theirs. Now let's talk about the actual written record, because a very popular claim recently got overturned. For years, the oldest evidence of kissing title went to ancient South Asian texts. Some researchers proposed romantic kissing spread westward from South Asia into the Mediterranean world, following contact during Alexander the Great's campaigns. But in 2023, a study published in the journal Science by researchers Arbo and Rasmussen pushed the timeline back by roughly 1,000 years. They identified clear written references to romantic and sexual kissing in Mesopotamian clay tablets, dating to at least 2500 BCE, including a Sumerian text called the Barton Cylinder, and later texts in Akkadian. Their conclusion wasn't just, it's older than we thought, it was that kissing likely wasn't invented once, in a single place, and then exported everywhere. It was probably already well established across multiple ancient societies. The same research connects something else too. Ancient Mesopotamian medical texts describe a recurring facial illness, one modern doctors might recognize as oral herpes, a disease that spreads through close mouth contact. Ancient scribes weren't just writing about kissing, they may have been documenting a side effect. The ancient Greeks and Romans had a rich, layered kissing culture. The Romans in particular had specific words for different kisses. Osculum, a friendly or respectful kiss. Basium, a warmer kiss between people who cared. Savium, a distinctly passionate sexual kiss. Having 3 separate words tells you something. This wasn't a minor cultural footnote, it was significant enough to need real vocabulary. So why might kissing actually be useful, biologically speaking? Modern research points to a few mechanisms, working at once. Human saliva and breath carry chemical cues. Some researchers argue kissing is mate assessment, letting partners pick up on scent-linked signals tied to genetic compatibility, similar to other immune system-related odor research. Kissing also involves bacterial exchange. One frequently cited study found something striking. A single 10-second kiss can transfer tens of millions of bacteria between partners. Couples who kiss frequently develop more similar oral microbiomes over time. Some hormonal research found something too. Kissing can lower cortisol, the body's stress hormone, but results on other hormones like oxytocin have actually been mixed. They don't show one simple universal effect. Biology offers real, testable puzzle pieces here, just not one single clean mechanism. That explains everything, which circles back to something: the cultures that never adopted kissing at all. If it were purely biological and universally rewarding, we'd expect to see it everywhere. The fact that we don't strongly suggests something. Kissing sits in the overlap between biology and culture. Some societies developed it, refined it, and passed it down. Others simply never invented it, or actively found it unappealing, once they encountered it from outsiders. So here's the honest current state of the science. We don't know exactly when the first kiss happened. Direct archaeological evidence for something that leaves no artifacts is extremely limited. We may genuinely never know. What we do know is this: multiple separate lines of evidence exist. Feeding behavior, scent-based mate assessment, primate social bonding, ancient microbiomes, and 4,500-year-old clay tablets. They all point in a similar direction, without fully agreeing on the details, which might be the most honest answer of all. Humans probably didn't invent kissing once, in one place, at one moment. It may have emerged again and again, in different societies, built out of older behaviors we already had: feeding, sniffing, bonding, recombined into something new, over and over, throughout human history.
That's today's Brain Snack. Subscribe so you never miss a bite.